Welcome, everybody, to the greatest podcast known to man, also known as Incognito Banter.
Yeah.
I think he nailed it.
I think so.
Yeah.
Call
My
me
boy's
a hammer.
growing up.
Call me a hammer because I nail him.
Oh,
Or call me your girl because I nailed that bitch.
Okay, dude.
Sorry.
Same punchline, two jokes. Come on.
that was your issue? That was the issue here?
He's
Listen,
like, yeah,
listen.
you nailed it on the head on the first try.
Damn.
It's like scratching your nails on a chalkboard, huh?
I thought he was the dad. I didn't know you became a dad. These dad jokes are just not.
I'm a father to everyone. I just have that energy. I give off that vibe.
That was a mystery.
I understand why you're single. I get it.
Yeah, we get it.
We get it.
Lots
He's
of
a single
girls-
father.
It's lots of girls with daddy issues.
Yeah, because you're not there.
Yeah, because I abandoned them.
Yeah.
What's the excuse? Is it milk? Is it cigarettes?
Yeah. I just say cigarettes, and they're very confused because they're like, wait, you don't smoke. I'm
Who
like,
smokes?
yeah, I don't.
Who smokes nowadays? Do either of you know anyone who like actually properly smokes like cigarettes?
I actually know that a lot of people do smoke. Like, it's a very popular business and, like, a very popular product that people buy packs and, like, cartons a day.
Wait, are you trying to tell us that cigarettes are a popular product? Man, the more you learn on this podcast every day, man.
So
No. I know that people still smoke. Vaping is still a big thing. But I think with the trend has been with the legalization of cannabis, more people are switching to CBD-based vapes.
Okay. Well, when I'm talking about like smoke, I'm not meaning like smoking marijuana, like weed or any of that stuff. I'm talking about like the old school cigarettes, right? Like I remember
He just wants that
up-
Marlboro,
Yeah.
right? Marlboro? Is that how it's
Marlboro,
pronounced?
yeah.
I, as a person who has never bought it. What is that other one? The
Camel is a popular brand.
Is Camel popular? I thought it was
Newport.
Newport.
Newport's
That's the
the
one I
big
was thinking
one,
about.
yeah.
I've never heard of Newport being the go-to for anyone. Unless you're like super broke and then you go for Newport.
So I don't know. I don't know
Maybe
enough.
I'm wrong.
Yes, I don't know enough about cigarettes, but I know I think they're Newport Slims or something is a very popular brand.
It's Virginia Slims. Newport is like its own thing.
Okay.
There's Lucky Sixes. Yeah, no, it's actually the same big five companies that have various products. But yeah, no, I think Newport is very popular because it's like one of the more budget brands.
Oh, man, for someone who doesn't smoke, or do you smoke?
I don't smoke.
Someone who doesn't smoke, you know a lot about cigarettes, dude.
Yeah.
So I've worked my way up where I did have like a gas station job where I would sell a lot of these. So I know that like smoking is still well and alive till this day.
Fair.
The people that smoke those cigarettes probably not, but the art is.
I will say I'm very fortunate that I didn't fall into. I'm gonna call it a trap, really, of like getting addicted to cigarettes or really the nicotine, right? And relying on that on a daily basis. But
You can ask me anything about what's on the McDonald's menu and how it's made. I will be able to give you some deep insights of it because that's how I started. And by the way, I just realized this because I haven't been to McDonald's like in the store in a while. So I would usually just order it from DoorDash or something. But I'm never forgetting McDonald's. But they got rid of a bunch of the salads and they also got rid of those wraps.
wait,
Those were seasonal to begin with.
No, they were not seasonal. At least when I was working, they were there the whole time.
Are you
Guess
talking
you
about-
worked
are you
during
talking
the
like-
season.
yeah.
No,
Are you talking about like breakfast wraps or like,
No. I meant I think there was like a ranch wrap,
Like a
then there was
chicken
like
ranch wrap or whatever.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think there was a
Yeah.
Southwest one as well.
Those were promotional things.
I
Again,
never had them, but yeah.
Those are dope. Like that was my lunch for a lot of the times that I would work. It was either that or the Southwest salad, which is still dope. And then
I guess if you're having McDonald's every day, a salad is probably helpful.
So in
Yeah,
my opinion, here's what it was. In essence, actually, not even my opinion. In essence, here's what it was. It was you take a McChicken patty, you cut it long ways, stuff it in a tortilla with some lettuce and shit, and drizzle that bitch in ranch.
well,
That's what
drizzle.
that wrap was.
All right.
you're like very wrong because it was not the same chicken that they used for McChickens. They used a very different kind of chicken. The lettuce that they had, the salad mix, they just used the same salad mix. That was But the ranch was also a completely different ranch from what they have in the store.
Interesting. Wait, so how did we get to McDonald's? Hold on.
We were just talking about like where we began basically. Oh, and you forgetting the main ingredient, the tortilla chips, like the fried chips.
They had a little.
They're the fucking main ingredient.
Yeah.
The strips, like a
Yeah, little strips like you would find at a salad bar.
yeah,
Or like a soup. that you
Nice.
put in. Yeah.
So like I don't know how we got to cigarettes. But
Where did you get your first job? Let's just finish it off.
I worked at a couple clothing stores. Is really what it was. It was like money for the holidays, and then I would just work for like 3 weeks out of the year, and 3 to 4 weeks. So last week of school, 2 weeks of winter break, and then 1 week after that. There's a ball.
I was just thinking about it, like recently actually. One of my jobs lasted 10 minutes. And you guys know about this story.
Yeah.
Yes, I do know about this.
I wanted to make
Pizzeria?
Yeah, I wanted to make some extra money, so I was going to a local pizzeria to work at night because I'm like, oh, it'll be slower. I could study during the day, do my regular job, and then like at night earn some extra cash by just like handing out a couple slices to drunk people. And I go there, and the manager was like one of those guys that was really dedicated to his craft, which was managing a pizzeria. And he's like on military time. He's like, you got to be here by 2100. And in my head, I had to do the fucking math. And he just like, this is like, if this is not something you want to be focused in or that's not a priority in your life, you should leave now.
And they're like, bye.
And then like I'm like, oh, like he just saying that as a manager, he probably wants to staff people. No, he went on to the job duties. And he's like, yo, you need to be here. We might send you out for deliveries. You need to do this. It's all you. And when I'm not here, because like we were the same ethnicity, so he trusted me more. So he's like, when I'm not here, I want you to take over. And I'm like, I don't want to do this.
He's grooming you.
Yeah, to be the next manager of this pizza chain that's like that he doesn't even own.
Grooming reminds me that of a really cool story that came out. I say cool, but
I heard there was there was a list about it too.
There was a list about it.
Yeah.
There was this guy who is supposed to be dead, or he killed himself somehow.
Oh my god, there's a lot of stuff about that.
We could talk about that. So I think today we need to go over that because that's fucking major.
Yeah.
We could talk a little bit about some interesting stuff I found out about randomly Tetris.
All right.
And then I know that we have some cool Reddit stories for you guys as well.
As usual. All right.
So let's go back to that grooming thing.
Let me finish my story and then we could go back to the grooming thing. So what ended up happening was I straight up told him I can't do it. I'm not going to be dedicating my life to this goddamn pizzeria the way he wants. And he's like, sometimes you have to miss classes to do it, but it's all about
classes.
But it's all about the job. And I'm like, dude, it's a pizzeria. I'm not missing my classes for this.
I'm a student, part-time worker.
Yeah, like your fucking $12 an hour job won't do it. And I'm like, hey man, I like 10 minutes into this training, I'm like, hey man, just gotta let you know, this really isn't for me. But I respect you for putting in the effort and running this like a tight ship that you do. Again, pizzeria, you go there when you're drunk. We're not really changing the world. And he's like, I respect a man that could be honest with me.
You're changing the world one slice at a time.
Yeah, I guess. And he's like, I respect you for being honest with me. You know what? Before you leave, you could grab a slice. Got me a slice, and I walked the fuck home. 10 minutes.
All right. Well, going back. So, some news that happened the last couple of weeks. You guys heard of this whole Jeffrey Epstein thing, right?
The financier?
You know what? Yes.
Bill Clinton's good friend?
Yeah, right? Bros. Well, I mean, what happened with the Jeffrey Epstein stuff, just for those of you who may have been living under a rock or something, is basically he was sent to prison for some child trafficking claims. And basically, in prison, he ended up basically offing himself. And so it was an interesting sequence of events that led there. A documentary was released about it on Netflix. I'd recommend you watch it.
So I've heard a couple of conspiracy theories that he didn't unalive himself, but someone actually chose and put a hit out for him to delete him.
It doesn't sound too unreasonable. My other thing was that he is still alive and kicking somewhere else. Right? I'm sure that's one of your theories.
Yeah.
But the big news is that this list started coming out this week. So,
the list of people who visited this island.
People that were cited. I think there's the whole thing is that there was a whistleblower, and basically she kind of called out a whole bunch of these people because she was there quite a bit, because She was one giving the massages, those kinds of things. And so the whole thing is, it starts.
When he says massages, everyone in the room have their coats, hands and coats out.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. The thing was,
Wait,
it
so
always.
like not like a Swedish massage?
It's not a deep tissue. That's what I'll tell you. Actually, you know what? It's a
It
very
could be
deep
a deep
tissue.
tissue.
It's
Yeah.
a very deep
Could
tissue.
be a deep
They
tissue.
get in that tissue.
Yeah. Right.
Not by their free will, but they get in that tissue.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the whole thing is that they start with massages, and then
Leads to
they start
deeper tissue
they
massages.
start suggesting other things, right?
Yeah.
And so some of the people cited. So some of these aren't going to be surprises.
Just
some
horrific things.
Few were, right? So Prince Andrew, he was cited all over the documentary, and no shocker here, cited in the list as well. Probably one of the big ones on there. Another one that was on there. Alan Dershowitz. I have no idea who that is.
I have no clue.
But apparently he's well known for his work in U.S. criminal law. So pretty ironic that he's on this list.
Yeah. What the heck?
Dealing with a smooth criminal.
Another, I guess, notable. So these are people known internationally. Jean-Luc Brunel, and so he's a French model scout. I mean, again,
That's so bad.
It sounds like he
That's
fit the type,
so
right?
bad.
He did some weird stuff with some underage girls, but it's another thing where he apparently unalived himself in a Paris jail. So a little, again, suspicious, right?
Like recently or?
Yeah, 2022.
Oh.
Yeah.
I never wish anyone's death, but if he did some horrific things to people, then maybe he deserved what he got.
Yeah. The next one's going to be very surprising. David Copperfield.
That's wild.
So I think his was more like he was like a spectator and like saw this happening. But
I love that he's switching roles.
right. Yeah.
Yo.
Some of the quotes were, "Girls were getting paid to find other girls." Is a citation there.
Girls were getting paid to do what?
To find other girls.
To recruit.
Oh, so like a
For
recruiter. Okay.
recruiting.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Now
That's
that-
evil. Can we talk about that a little bit? Like,
That's not evil. That's
everyone's
just
at fault. Everyone's at fault, right? Everyone is everyone involved in this process, like on record, I could say terrible human being, right? That deserves to like burn in hell.
Wait, I'll stop you there because I don't fully agree. The people the girls who got involved, I'm sure they got involved because of like certain like needs. I don't think a lot of this was by choice. It was more of by necessity or need.
I'm not
right?
talking about.
I don't know if it was.
I
know if it
don't
was
think
that
I'm
level.
talking about the girls
Yeah.
that were like brought there against their will.
Yeah, and those were the ones that were recruiting. That's what he's saying. Those were the ones recruiting.
So, oh man, this is gonna take me because this documentary came out like a couple of years back now.
It was in
right?
2020.
Yeah, so like I remember hearing this. I think that there was a certain type of person that you would just prey on in this case, right? For lack of a better word,
Yeah.
because you're like, these are the people that I can tell this to who are gonna come through, who are gonna bite the bullet and like do all this stuff to make the money.
No,
like you're saying.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
no, in the documentary they talked about like they would recruit teenage girls in low income
Yeah.
areas and like kind of text them and get them and like they're like, oh, you want to earn some extra money, and they would bring them over to Jeffrey Epstein's, according to the documentary, mansion in Miami
Yeah.
for massages as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So David, going back to David Copperfield, right? His whole thing was apparently he was cited as just asking the question, be like, hey, did you know that girls were getting paid to find other girls? And that's it. So his is a little innocent.
Little.
Yeah. Bill Clinton,
No surprise there.
Everyone knew that one.
right? That one's been kind of trending on TikTok quite a bit here.
You know, right when like from what I heard, I don't know if he's back or anything, but what the word in the news was anticipation of this list coming out and all this stuff. Him and Hillary have been in Mexico
Oh,
since then.
suspicious. Yeah.
I don't know if they're back or if they're there for a little bit. I mean, I guess they're retired, but like very weirdly coincidental.
So with Bill Clinton, what they did was she basically said that this, I don't know how to say her last name, but Schulberg, and basically said that like Epstein, because she was like one of like Epstein's like key, I don't even know what to call her in this case, right? But basically Epstein said to her is like, oh, Clinton likes him young. And so that's a quote that's been trending all over Instagram and TikTok. Right now.
Oh man, that's just
That's
gross.
Fucked up.
Yeah.
That's fucked up, man.
Are you ready for this one? Donald Trump. So
wow. I am so shocked. Look at my face. Look. Oh no.
Same as Bill Clinton.
Yeah, it was one of those things where like she didn't observe anything or wasn't aware of anything, but just saw that he was on the plane or he would come by some of Epstein's places.
See, you can't be shocked with Donald Trump because this is the same guy where he was talking about. We saw that footage of him talking about women in that bus with
trailer,
that guy, the trailer or bus or whatever, school bus, right? About
how he would grab women.
Yeah, basically that. What a good way of saying that.
Terrible.
And then we still elected him to be the president.
We didn't.
I mean, yes,
Who is
right? Yeah.
Who is this?
Some people did.
Some people did.
Did.
You know. Yeah.
Stephen Hawking. Now this one.
This is the most meme thing that I've seen.
I fucking love it.
I've seen so many memes of this. Just him on his wheelchair he's like rushing to the island.
Do they have ramps?
I'm sure the Epstein Island has ramps or
the necessary equipment.
I'm sure he brings it with him, right?
I don't think that's something you bring.
It's bring your own toys.
Nah, dude, that's how do you even
BYOD? Bring your own device.
Everything is not working.
No, that's not true. Because from the movie, I think the Stephen Hawking's movie. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie. I forgot who was I think it was Emilia Clarke as the wife or something like that. I think so. I'm not very sure.
Daenerys fucked Stephen Hawking. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, not the actual guy, but like yeah. So they were saying that only like his penile area worked. The rest of the body was not. So,
that's convenient.
I mean, he used the one organ that he had.
Damn.
Also, wasn't it that he was into midgets or something?
Nah, so I think that was just an over dramatization of definitely an exaggeration of all the stuff he's been kind of accused of because that was right, like
I don't know if you can say midgets. I think we gotta say dwarf people.
Well,
or,
like small,
vertically challenged.
Vertically challenged people trying to solve complex equations on a board that's too high for them. Like that.
Yeah, I think that was his kink or some shit.
No, I think that was disproved.
I never anticipated in my life that this would be a conversation we're having.
But the thing they highlighted was that like he participated in orgies with younger people.
How so?
Again, remember, the penile area apparently works conveniently.
Dude, if he was alive, his lawyer would be doing fucking Jordan numbers in that courtroom. It's like,
ma'am, does he look like this guy right here? I didn't even ask the defendant to come into the court today. But you know what? Here's a photo of him.
I think you know
from
him.
This morning.
Yeah.
Actually, I take my statement back. It would be quite hard.
Why?
To prove either way.
Why?
Okay, because imagine you bring the girls in question into the stand. It's like, can you identify the guy that was there in these?
Who's gonna point at him though?
No, everyone would. It's like, that's the guy. How do you miss the guy in the wheelchair?
No, but
that sounds like a fucking robot. There's not many people you could confuse him with.
Well, if he was really there, then yeah, you're right. Like that, he's like, a very standout.
No. I bet people on the island are like, holy fuck, is that Stephen Hawking?
Yeah. it's because like he's a really like. He stands out in the crowd or sits out in the crowd, I guess.
He's famous for his robot voice and wheelchair.
That's it, right? That's it. No, I just thought about this. What about the fucking, like, staff?
Bro, remember, I'm sure all kinds of NDAs and all that stuff was signed. And, like...
There's not enough NDAs in the world where, like... I'm sure NDAs go out the fucking window if it's illegal activity.
That part I'm not sure.
I think it depends like what you sign.
No.
And let's be real.
I think it's a universal thing. You cannot just sign an NDA and be like, I murdered someone, you saw it, but come on, dude, don't disclose it.
But if you did, I think it gets thrown out. Whatever you say gets thrown out because you violated an NDA. So if you can commit one crime, you can also commit perjury again, and therefore I think it get canceled. This is something that I saw in a TV show, so I don't know how accurate it is.
It's a thing about character. But when it comes down to like I'm gonna just say it right now. I'm lucky enough where I think the people that I know, if somehow we were working on this island on our first day on the job, 10 minutes in, we saw Bill Clinton and David Copperfield pulling like.
Well, you would just quit because it's been 10 minutes and you saw this. You would just quit.
So. No. If I saw fucking Stephen Hawking's going into an orgy, I would be like, this is illegal.
I would be texting first that, yo, you guys are not going to believe what I just
Yeah.
saw. We got some mad content for our podcast.
It's like, okay, apparently he can walk.
It's like, yeah, first of all. The last person on the list that I have here, just right, there's more people, but another not surprise, Michael Jackson.
Man.
Now, again, this was just that his name was mentioned in the court documents. There was nothing specific to like what he did or anything like that. It was just like, yeah, like, oh yeah, I saw him at Epstein's house.
Wasn't there something with Oprah as well?
Well, so originally they were saying like Oprah, Ellen, like all kinds of people.
Yeah, so like they had this whole thing where they would people believed that they would use Epstein's Island as kind of like a refueling or checkpoint or a storage place when they were moving people illegally cross borders. For our viewers, we can't say specific words on YouTube, so we kind of have to beat around the bush, but everyone knows what we were talking about of this horrific act. Yeah,
and so this list came out. The more people are going to be named soon, or not named soon, but more names will be coming out soon as they release more of the court documents. I don't know why they released it in 2 waves. It's like, oh, here's part 1, to be continued.
Well, how else? You got to give just enough content for the memers to come up with all the memes. So then the second wave, no one should be missed with the memes.
That's fair.
You got to cover all bases.
And they're basically gonna be like, yeah, like part 2 coming soon, and it's like, oh, part 1. This is only part 1 of part 2. Part 2 of part 2 is coming soon. Season 2, episode 8 coming now.
Are they? Man, this is like the U.S. government's time to the best shit ever, and kind of break it off into seasons.
They are doing that.
And the Twitter account goes wild again. Because after Trump, let's be honest, Twitter for the U.S. government kind of downhill. But now they could just be like, season 2 dropping February 2nd. And then they could have emojis to kind of play that game. It's like who you think it's gonna be. The whole world would tune in.
So with Trump, the government acted like a teenager, using Twitter.
It's
what you want is exactly that.
And the world and all of the U.S. was more informed than it is now.
That's true. I agree with that, but I feel
you have to evolve with the times, I believe.
I think, yes, you should be tweeting, but there has to. I would expect a little certain kind of gravitas from my president, whoever that is.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have seen that special with Shane Gillis, but
almost did.
I think the funniest thing was what was mentioned, because you said gravitas, when Obama was announcing the death of Osama bin Laden and that tactical operation.
Surgical strike.
Yes, it was surgical. It was very well thought out, well spoken. And then Trump comes on when they killed the leader of the Taliban. And there's Abu, he lived like a dog and he died like a dog.
Yo, what? Wait, who is
Trump?
No. He said it, but who did?
It was one of the leaders of ISIS did a surgical strike. And killed.
Damn, yeah.
Wow. An operation, and it was funny because they were just he was cowering like a coward. I thought he wet himself.
I think they send in dogs or something, right?
Yeah. And they were just talking, and he's just speaking like a child that watched Modern Warfare for the first fucking time.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen the movie Zero Dark 30?
Yeah. It is so crazy.
No.
That is such a good movie, a serious dark movie.
It was so well done because without giving away too much of it, I think we know how it ends.
Right? Yeah, we know how it ends. Yeah.
And so the whole thing was they didn't know they had Osama, or what they call him to go OBL or whatever. There was another term that they used for him, right? And so basically they're all this stuff happened, and they're we're just looking for a person suspected of being in Al Qaeda, and then they're wait, we may have OBL or whatever they call it, right? So it was just a very well done movie. Jessica Chastain. Also in Interstellar, which I've been reading the science of Interstellar. Pretty interesting
It's a good
read.
book. Yeah. The Kripke, right?
Kip Thorne.
Kip Thorne, sorry. Yeah.
And so it's been good.
Kripke's the DNA guy.
Who?
Kripke is a character in Big Bang Theory. I don't know I'm Barry Kripke. I think of him from.
I don't know what I'm thinking. No, Kripke. I'm missing something.
No worries. Kip Thorne is the physicist in the that helped actually create the idea of the movie, one. And two, he's a Nobel Prize winning physicist.
I totally messed that up. It's Watson and Crick. Or Creek, not Kripke.
What did he do?
For
Or she? Watson?
Watson and
the guy's
Crick,
name, I guess.
they were two scientists. They found the structure, like they were the ones to discover the structure of DNA. Like, the helix.
Oh, cool, the double helix, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a random tidbit. I like it.
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't know which Kripke I was thinking about. I will never know, but yeah.
No, no worries. Yeah. But you had mentioned something about seasons, right? About like the government releasing everything in seasons. Dude, we got hit with really hard winter just this last week.
Yeah. So many. I loved it. There was no traffic. It
was a horror story for me. So for those who don't know, which is going to be everyone until, moving forward, you'll probably know. My dad owns a Tesla.
Your papa?
My papa. And I borrowed it for the weekend because my car needed to go to the shop. Worst decision of my life. So I'm out here and it's freezing cold. And I thought that, it's just, the car shut off, so don't have to worry about it. We were at like 53% battery. And I wake up the next day and I left the car at 80 something 53%, and I was down to like 28%. It lost about 40 percentage points throughout the night. Mind you that there was negative degrees. I think it was like -4 or -6 or something like that.
I was gonna say it's probably kicking on so often throughout the night just to heat up.
Yeah, keep the battery warm and stuff.
Yeah.
So it lost 40 percentage points. So I was trying to drop my wife off to school, and I thought that I could make it because I still had like 28%.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And this school is not like more than 25 miles out. So that should be plenty on a regular charge. But essentially, I got close to the school and had like 8% battery or 5% battery. So I was like, I got to rush to a charger.
Yeah.
So I couldn't even drop my wife off. I go to a charger, the nearest charger, and out of the 10 chargers, superchargers, 8 of them were broken. And they're saying that this was happening, the people who were there, at multiple locations.
Man.
Because of the winter, all these chargers were gone. So it was a horror story because there's only 2 chargers and those people were not in their car. And one of the cars was so dead that they needed to like kind of jumpstart. Actually, there were plenty of cars like just blocking the way, like main roads and stuff. Like just dead cars, dead Teslas just there, abandoned. Because no one's going to sit around in that car.
Yeah.
So that's going on. But that there were 2 Teslas which were so dead and in the charging spot that they needed to be like, I guess, what is it called? Jump started. And then it was charging.
How do you jumpstart a Tesla?
I think in the front there's like cables that you could do that with. But and then there's also right above your frunk, there's an area where you can like jumpstart from the battery. I know this because like later in the story, I'll tell you like what we did. So I'm like, losing percentage points. Like every 2 minutes, there's a percentage point being dropped. And I'm just freaking out because I don't have any other car right now. I'm pretty far from even where my parents are, and it's freaking cold outside.
Yeah.
It's like -4 degrees. So I'm like, if I get abandoned here, I would be fucking screwed. So eventually this one nice guy is like, hey, my car is already dead and it ain't moving, so you can go. So at 1% left, I was able to get into charging.
Holy cow.
And charge my car. But then I saw that there are so many people waiting in charging, and this one person, this Asian man, came up to my door, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? And this guy's like, would you, like, how much time do you need? And I'm like, oh, it's just like 30 minutes or no, it was like 15 minutes at that time.
Yeah.
He's like, is it okay if I go next? And I'm like, hey, I'm so sorry, but there's this other man who let me go. He's next in line. So he went around to talk to that guy, and that guy was again being super nice. He let the Asian guy go, but the Asian guy jump started the car, and with those, those portable battery things. And he's like, I'm gonna put the car in neutral, and we're all gonna push the car.
We're all
And-
gonna push my car. Let's go.
And I think this man for somehow just told me that I am doing this.
Yeah.
And like a bitch, I just helped him out.
Classic.
But the thing is, I think everyone was so helpful there.
Yeah.
Like it was just not me. At one point, like it was like we moved like 3-4 cars around like this, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. But
Create a sense of community.
yeah, it was a whole Tesla community. The only thing negative about this is every time we were moving the car, everyone was chanting, "Fuck Tesla. We're never buying this shit ever again."
Here's the question: when you're pushing the car in neutral,
Yeah.
was regenerative braking still working?
You know, that's a really good. No, it's turned off because
Yeah.
the battery's off, right?
Yeah. Okay. So it's based on the battery.
Yeah.
I thought it's just how the motor or the
Yeah.
whatever theirs is works.
Yeah, so that was fucking annoying. And that was not just one place, because then I came back to the city after charging my car and I needed to charge again because, again,
Yeah.
weather was super bad. And I went to 2 locations and there's like abandoned cars at that location as well. And lines and lines. I'm guessing like... I was like 8 or 9 cars in front of me, and these cars are not like gas cars, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
where it's just like fill up the gas, 5 minutes, you're dip, like you could dip. This is like 30 to 40 minutes of just sitting in the car charging the shit, like, you know, getting bored because you're just charging, you know.
Yeah. And I was monitoring the because nice thing about Tesla is you can look up on the app how much how many ports are open or how many spots are open. What the estimated wait time is. Again, it's not accurate, right? Because
Estimated wait time's not accurate because it's like, you know,
based on
if the
charging times.
Yeah,
right?
it's based on charging times. But if there are people just waiting for
in
the
line.
other cars to leave, then
Yeah.
it doesn't. So like I saw it, and then I was like, oh, 15 minutes, I can wait. But then I go there, and there are like
like
9
8
other
cars,
cars
yeah.
like in front of me.
So
you know?
yeah, that I was watching that. Like I'm fortunate where my car is in a garage, so like I don't really lose much range.
Yeah.
If anything, like I think I was gone this whole week, and I'm back. I left at like 46%, maybe in my garage, and it's at 44. So like I'm like, thankfully, lucky in that case. But
Heated garages, man. That's the way to do it.
you need that. I was debating whether to turn it on because I'm like, hey, it's been a while since I've done it, but I guess with EVs, you don't really need to do that, right?
No, it just keeps the battery,
right.
yeah, warm by itself. So, and it never technically shuts off, right?
Yep.
But yeah, that was the scary part. I think I saw reports from a lot of places. I saw some reports from Canada, which were really scary because there was only this one guy that the news was talking about how there was negative 37 degrees.
Yes, yeah. And he was like, whatever, guys.
Yeah.
Just precondition your battery.
That's what, and I was like, yo, shut the fuck up.
So, okay, so I did a long drive with my Tesla, right? And I turned on the precondition. Oh, wait, naturally, whenever the thing is, you can only turn it on when you're driving to a supercharger.
Yeah.
There's one thing I saw on Amazon where you can there's like these like little buttons that you can get that are like smart buttons, right? And so you can stick them wherever, but you have to connect them. You have to connect the reader to the car directly. There's like a big connection point behind the driver's seat that connects to the computer, right? And basically this button, and one of the features that you can do is you train it to trigger supercharging. Or sorry, not supercharging. You can trigger preconditioning,
Okay.
right? And so I'm like, that'd be super handy. But I'm like, is it going to void my warranty? Like,
Yeah.
What's preconditioning? Sorry, I
It
don't
just like gets your battery ready.
know. I'm broke. I don't know.
It just gets your battery ready for the max supercharging part of it, because supercharging is a high voltage, right?
Yep.
So like bunch of voltages coming in, your battery is like heated up, ready to go to a point where it can like no issues can come in. It
pull
can
the charge.
It can,
right?
it can hold the charge. It could pull the charge at like the higher voltages. Like I think the supercharging that I've been going to is 65 volts, 65 watt hours or something like that, and that's pretty high. So when you do it like that, it charges your car in 30 minutes. That's how you get those really good charging speeds. Like your regular outlet it's gonna take you about 20 hours or so to charge your car, because it
Yes.
charges really slow.
Yes.
So you need that specific wattage. So what I've learned from this is, well, one, I'm never borrowing my dad's car in winter. That's just
Yeah.
not happening. Two, if you want to buy a Tesla, I think my personal recommendation would be don't buy it if you don't have like a
Home charger.
home charger. and a garage.
Yeah, no,
Right.
that's what I noticed though. Like I when I was driving, like so many Teslas just piled up on the side, dead and stuff, and I realized that like based on just talking to those people, that like they themselves, like a lot of Tesla owners relied heavily on the network, like the charging network, that cannot sustain them as like these are not gas stations.
Yeah, and also think about this, right? Like, they always talk about all these historic numbers that Tesla ran for sales over the summer, over earlier this year, all that kind of stuff. I mean, I bought one. Your dad bought one.
Perspective, actually. I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's Model Y was Europe's best-selling new car of the year in 2023.
Yeah,
and that says a big thing, like that EVs are becoming very accessible.
It's a turning point,
and it's a turning point. I don't think all Teslas are bad, but again, my disclaimer stands that the best way to own a Tesla is if you have a charger at a home.
Yeah, for the commute, but then they got to figure out something for these like
longer trips,
longer drives, right?
Okay, so I have 2 different types of Reddit stories for you guys today.
Ooh.
Okay.
So one is funny.
Wait,
and
are we doubling up? Are we doubling up today?
I don't know if we were gonna double up, but let's start with one at least.
I have some interesting things.
We always talk about doubling up and we never do it. All right. Let's see.
I have some interesting things today about Tetris that you guys I think are gonna love because I know you guys watched the movie, but I'm excited for the Reddit. So let's hear the Reddit first.
Yeah. So let's do the non-funny one first.
So the other one is scary. So one is funny, one is scary.
Down for scary.
Let's start scary.
Down for scary. All right. Okay. So I'm just going to put out a disclaimer. It's more creepy than scary, but it's still scary, if that makes any sense.
So on a scale of 1 to Dr. Ramsey.
I was just going to say, where are we on this?
Not at that level. That was just creepy, and I just wanted to fight.
That's crazy. That's like the only way to describe it.
Yeah.
I was ready to fight. I don't know who, but I just felt unsafe.
Dr. Ramsey.
Yeah.
I mean, again, we don't know if the dad did it, but
Gotta get the job done, dude.
Okay, so here's the story. The title is called Violin Hill. So I'm new to Reddit and just discovered this sub, which is great because it means I can finally share the story. I know it's probably said a lot, and always there's really no way to verify it, but I'm about to tell you 100% true story.
Fake.
I'm not
Calling
talented.
it.
I'm not talented enough to make this up.
So fake.
You think so? Okay. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I've read this and it's kind of long, but it's interesting. Around 2 years ago, I finally moved into a brand new house in a brand new building estate in Australia. I was one of the first to have a finished build in the area and was excited to finally gain independence. The first few weeks went by as normal, and during that time, I would often take walks alone.
Oh, I was talking to walls. I'm
I'm fucking weirdo.
with the dog in the afternoons and roam around the surrounding estate area. All the roads around us had been partially completed, and all the other properties were marked out, but no other houses were built, excluding the one that was directly opposite of mine. The house looked finished, but there was no driveway laid out, and from what I could gather, no one lived there. All right. Thoughts so far?
It's kind of fucking creepy.
Yeah, starting creepy. Okay.
Also, why the fuck would you live there?
Yeah, if there's like literally no
Nothing.
one there, nothing.
And what kind of builder lets you live there too? Like,
Well,
honestly,
her house was done, so it's there.
I don't think that's how that works.
Also, like, why'd they just stop building?
It's Australia.
I don't think that's how that fucking works, even in Australia.
In Australia, like 90% of that continent is uninhabitable.
And
so
trying to kill you. Yeah. So especially then, I'm hoping they don't let you live alone.
Okay, I'm gonna continue with the story. To the left of my house, roughly a few hundred meters.
Meters.
Australia, bro.
Australia was a field with a huge hill on it. I later found out that the whole area was council property, and no one was allowed to build up there. But the whole hill was basically a no-go zone. For whatever reason, the council just didn't want people on it, so the whole area was surrounded by a huge chain link fence. The only other noticeable feature in the area was a small abandoned farm with a shed. And a few kilometers down the road, I knew nothing about it, and often walking there with a dog, as it gave me something mild to explore amongst the vast nothingness.
My God.
Dumb bitches, honestly, bro. Like, go home. Fuck your independence.
Yeah.
Fuck your dog. I would not leave that house.
I would just never get the house. I would
No, there
go
would
back.
be no house.
The entire place was inhabitable, but it was still interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, it's Australia.
Yeah.
I don't trust a place where you have to check your shoe every time you go out before you leave because there might be a spider in there.
Spider shider.
They will kill you, man.
They're literally spiders the size of your head.
Then I wouldn't have to look in my shoe.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. About a month or two after moving in, I awoke one morning to the sound of a violin. It sounded extremely distant and quite haunting.
A violent what?
A violin.
Violin. I feel like all violins, songs, or whatever are haunting.
Haunting. Yeah, yeah.
Right. Especially the
Yeah,
ones
like
that are
a
done
slow
well.
fucking violin playing in there.
Especially if it's done well. Okay, that's not a haunting song.
I don't know what the fuck. I don't know what kind of Irish jig he was doing.
So, I actually enjoyed it, and I assume that the neighbors opposite me has finally moved in. Excited that I had some people to talk to, I
They never
peeked out of
moved
the
out.
curtain and saw the house opposite of mine and was still vacant as it ever was. I got dressed, but by the time I managed to look outside, the violin had stopped. This happened roughly every second day for the next week. The violin would wake me up and then just disappear after about 45 seconds. I had ignored it to the point where my curiosity simply got to the better of me.
Curiosity?
Yeah. And
Curiosity?
Well,
I would be scared more
I'd be
than
scared,
curious.
but like you're by yourself with no one near you for kilometers.
No. But you wake up and then you take your dumb car and then you just never come back.
Oh no, I know. Oh, I know. But I think she's. Remember, let's just accept the fact that she is pot committed to this house, okay, and this community and this lifestyle,
Yeah.
which is what I'm going to call it.
So the next morning, when I heard the violin playing again, I immediately jumped out of the bed, threw on my dressing gown, and shot out of the front door. I scoured the early morning surrounding, and there, up on the hill, was a figure playing violin. It was barely light, but the person looked like very tall from the distance I was at. And they were playing, and I was doing what only could be described as a waltz-type walk, spinning slowly around as a circle as they played.
She's on acid.
Is she the
No,
ghost?
sorry. She was not doing the spinny thing. I think these Reddit stories are not great with grammar, so when I'm reading it out, it's kind of sometimes like it's hard for
So
me to
the
say.
person playing the violin.
Yeah, he
I'm just
looked like-
I'm
yeah.
imagining like she just said, "Oh yeah, I skipped and
Yeah, that's how-
waltzed my way to that direction."
That's what I'm thinking.
No.
Twirling along the way. I'm like, she's the ghost, yo. It's not this violinist.
I took my eyes off the person and walked over to pick up the morning paper, and in the 10 seconds that it took me, I hear the violin stop. When I looked up, I noticed the figure was no longer playing or dancing, but was now standing still and most likely looking in my direction. It was so dark I couldn't make out more, but we both just stood there for half a minute, not moving before the creeps got better of me, and I went back inside.
Okay, wait. Quick question. She said morning paper.
I know, I'm confused, right?
Yeah, it is
how
morning.
early is this? Yeah, I mean, it probably doesn't tell you, but like, I was like, was it probably just dark enough where you couldn't see that far?
No.
Yeah.
Not that. Someone had to drop that off.
Yeah.
Damn. Yo.
Call that person. Be like, yo, you hear violins?
I think this is a detail that proves that this is a made up story.
Cool. Go ahead. Continue with your
Could-
BS story.
That is not.
This is you. I'm blaming this on you.
That's a good call out.
That's a good call out, but here's my thought process behind it. Why can't there be a new person who drops off paper? What's the harm here? It's a community that's being built, right? It's actively being built.
And explain the milk and no, I was kidding.
What do you mean? Why can't there be a new person that drops off?
News person, like a newspaper dropper or paper distributor.
A
newsboy, whatever you want to call
That'd be a shitty route. Imagine she doesn't tip him.
Guys, it's not
Imagine
like
it's a kid on a bike.
Right? That's what I'm
And
thinking.
he's like, this motherfucker keeps on playing violins on a hill. And I'm out here.
I think this is where you guys are missing that this is Australia and not America. There's no kid on a fucking a paper on a paper
No.
route.
They don't. Those don't exist anymore either. It's more like a delivery truck or something.
It's probably a delivery truck. What's the harm in having a like
just middle of nowhere? I feel like I wouldn't bother
I'm
at that
just saying,
point.
the thing is still being built. I think it could be very common practice. I don't want to dismiss it as like.
I guess in my head, I just have it as like empty, and then there's like another house that like is abandoned.
Yeah, she just like, hey Hank, and then it's like just listening to the fucking violin dude on the hill. No. What I'm trying to say is there's other people that could potentially verify the story if this is a haunted hill from what I'm guessing is a story of a mysterious figure playing violin, and I'm guessing eventually kills you, because I don't think the government would be like, no one can build here, this guy just performs violin acts. Like, you know.
But I think sure, I'm just defending the story because like I just don't want to shit on it. No, but like
bold-faced liar.
If you think about it, probably no one heard it because the paper was already dropped in this route. So if someone was playing the violin,
45 seconds to hear this.
So he misses the show, is what
he misses the show. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So after that morning, things started happening. On my walks, I began to notice footprints on the surrounding properties that weren't made by me, like the footprints. And
Paperboy.
I had never seen before, which I just assumed were from people walking up from the other housing areas down to the road. I never woke up to the violin, but I swore I could hear someone walking on the streets next to my bedroom window in the early morning. However, I never saw anything.
Wait. You got a fucking bedroom on the ground floor?
Dude, I don't know how this
next to the street.
Well, my guess is
and you're acting this bold.
My guess is gravel road. What I filled in some blanks here, right? Gravel road and someone just walking out. You can hear it sometimes. And she sleeps with her window open.
I mean, from my place, I can literally hear everything that's happening on the street, and I live on the first floor, so I don't know. Things could happen.
Yo, these bitches are dumb.
Okay.
Like, yo, she's like, yeah, just me and my dog Tuffy chilling with a ghost that plays violin sometimes. He visits.
Other really general things as well, like random tools such as spades and rakes laying around the area, which I guessed were from the construction crews, none of which I ever saw. I had started getting calls at work that would immediately hang up on me, and I would stop walking to the abandoned farmhouse, as the experience with the violin had me a little shaken. Well, that's good. At least she's not going to like random abandoned farmhouses like an idiot. One night as I was heading to bed, I turned off the television in the living room, and again I could hear a faint sound of violin playing. However, it sounded more muffled and rehearsed.
He's practicing.
He's getting better.
I froze, and a cold chill flew through me instantaneously.
I'm knowing this dumb bitch. She probably forgot to pay the heating bill. Too busy going on walks to abandoned places and getting tetanus from farm tools.
Considering that it was about midnight and not the usual time I would hear it playing, I went to the front window and peeked out to see if there was light in the house opposite of mine. It was clearly a candle, as I could see the dim light flicker in the empty window, and the music sounded like it was coming from an old record player. But in the 10 minutes I watched, I never saw any movements inside the house. I moved away from the window, sufficiently freaked out, and after about 5 minutes, I heard the music abruptly stop. I peeked out again to notice the light was now out. I never saw anyone. I began to become unsettled in the house and would often invite my friends over to hang out until late. But of course, nothing would ever happen when someone else was with me.
So would
I
you
never
tell your
bothered to
friends?
tell any of my friends, as without evidence, I figured that they would just give me shit about it and I would just be agitated.
So would you tell your friends?
100%. I'm like, you guys are moving in for at least 10 days. Let's check this place out. And if anyone wants to buy this
Is there-
place for me.
Is
Yeah.
there a time limit though? Like, would the ghost just stop doing this bullshit because there's other people here? But what if it's a long-term guest? Is there like a rule?
I
Or
don't
does
know,
it need to be like, hey, there's still guests, their legal address on their license still says another address, so I can't haunt them?
They know.
It
Yeah.
has to be like a legal resident.
I haven't read the bylaws of ghosting.
Well, I mean,
So I would
you're
not.
not subjected to the HOA. So,
That's true.
like why would they put on the show for you?
Exactly.
Is that something she pays for in the HOA? Is it included?
It might be covered in the taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a new build, so.
Also, a dick move not telling your friends. Selfish. Something I would do.
What do you
Dick
mean you
move.
would do? If you were getting haunted by a ghost,
I would not. No.
you would be like,
And
yeah,
needed
I can't
support-
tell
no,
you.
And
Sorry.
I need support at night.
Yeah. You wouldn't tell anyone.
Depends on a friend.
That's stupid.
Well, it would be one of those things where you have them over first, see if it happens. If it happens, great. No harm, no foul.
Yeah.
Well, maybe harm. We'll see. But if it doesn't happen, then you tell them, be like, hey, some weird shit's been happening here. You mind staying another night?
No, no.
That's worse because
No.
then you just risk your friend's life. If you knew this was happening and you invite them over,
Well,
that-
if it's a group, sorry, if it's like one other, then I'd be like, you're a shitty friend. I'm getting in my car and I'm leaving.
yeah, fuck you, man. Like you're risking my life. But even if it's a group, have you not seen any like haunted movies where a group of friends are the people who get like
I mean that's fair. That's fair.
No.
and you know, sadly the African American person dies first every time.
So here's what happens. When I say it depends on a friend, if I know this friend believes in ghosts, I'm not fucking telling them because they're leaving me
That's not true.
as soon as I
That's
tell
not
them.
true. No, it's kidding.
That's
Probably true.
That's stupid.
Probably true.
They
They're
probably have a
leaving
way
me.
to get rid of the ghost.
No, they're leaving me. Their way to get rid of the ghost is say hasta la vista. The friends that don't believe in ghosts, that will be like, nah, that's ridiculous. The ones that always die like second in the movie, that's the guy I'm telling. Like they're going to stay the night just to prove a point to me, and they're gonna die by a violin string.
Oh my god.
All right, let's continue with this story. This
Oh,
is
good. I'm like, I thought it was done, and I'm like,
no.
oh man.
There's a big paragraph coming.
Oh
so
snap! Here it is.
yeah, I gotta get my voice ready.
Ooh.
But nothing compared to what happened next. In my living area, the desk sits right next to a small window which looks out the fence surrounding my property. The steel fence is literally an arm's length from the house, about 6 feet tall, so I always figured, unlike most of the other windows, I would never need to cover that one with a sheet or a blanket because no one could ever see in. I usually had headphones on when I played, and I always had the lights off for no other reason than I preferred to play games in the dark. One night when I was gaming,
The e-girl.
Wait, can this girl order pizza?
I probably not in any of the
There's
zip
nothing
codes.
this bitch can do. There's zero things. What is the appeal of this place? How terrible are her parents?
Listen, part of the development plan is to build a pizza place, okay?
Exactly.
And then you can get all the pizza delivered, man.
Like this place seems terrible. It's just her. Just her. All she gets is a newspaper like a fucking 90-year-old man.
I'm picturing this kind of like I Am Legend with like her dog.
Yeah. And a ghost that's a classical music lover.
Okay. One night when I was gaming, I got up and walked into the dark kitchen and got a beer out of the fridge. It was dead silent, excluding the faint sound coming from my headphones. As I closed the fridge and turned around to face the desk, I saw directly out of the window two very, very faint lights. I didn't even catch on and immediately started walking back to the desk, fixated on the small glowing balls, and it wasn't until I had my nose almost pressed against the glass that I realized that the two lights weren't lights at all. They were eyes. A set of eyes just sitting above the fence line, staring wide open at me. They didn't blink. They didn't move. my entire body locked up. All I could do was simply stare back as my brain was still comprehending that there was an actual person looking at me in the scariest way I could possibly ever imagine. I don't know what happened. Either my head kicked into gear or my muscles loosened, but my body automatically collapsed and I fell to the floor, scurrying to hide against the wall away from the window. I could hear my heart beating through the carpet like a drum as I tried to lay as flat as possible, as my mind was still processing the sheer severity of the situation. A violin started playing.
Oh my god.
There are not enough bullets in the world that I would use to gun that bitch down.
Let's hear him out first.
The violinist? Okay. I'll tip him first.
Let's hear him out.
Then I would gun him the fuck down.
The fucking violin and the haunting tune it was emitting started up, except this time it was directly outside of my window and much louder than I had ever heard it before.
Yeah, proximity,
It's
dumb
closer,
bitch.
yeah.
The lights were still off, and I wanted to get up to turn off my PC screen so I couldn't be seen, but my whole body was just not ready to cooperate. Not only was the sound of the instrument extraordinarily loud, but it sounded like it has been played with frustration, notes been missed frequently, and the strings were screeching. When I read this, I was like, how the fuck does she know the notes were missing? Is she so used to it that it's like, ah, man, this one,
Yeah, she's
not
like,
it.
you know what?
Not his best performance.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know. I was just I would piss my pants. I would
Dude,
be making
that's,
phone calls. I don't know why she's not making
Just
any phone calls.
Continue, bro. I want to hear all of it. I will make my comments afterwards.
Okay. The pace of it was getting faster and faster.
Is she a fucking critic, bro? I'm sorry. I know I just told you to like just. Is she a fucking critic? She's like, he missed notes. He's screeching. It just kept on going faster and faster. I wasn't enjoying the show.
Not his
fucking
best performance.
Like, come on.
Okay. The pace of it was getting faster and faster, and by this time, my dog Jeb, out in the backyard,
Like
had,
Bush.
I think Jed, not Jeb.
No, Jeb, Jeb.
Oh, then just like Bush.
Yeah. Out in the backyard, had picked up on the situation and registering an unfamiliar sound, gave one solitary, deep bark. The violin instantly stopped, and the house was finally dead silent, excluding my headphones, which I could hear quietly working away.
I'm just imagining as soon as the dog barks and like the violinist leaves to catch his train back to Hobotown or some shit. All you hear is like faint sounds from this dude's headphones. It's like, your ass, get pwned.
get good.
And like some little kid teabagging her character on the screen.
Yeah. I don't know. The one bark kind of like scared me a little because I was like, what does a deep bark mean? What does that even mean?
Just like a meaningful bark, like they meant it.
Yeah, also not like woof, woof. It's more
it
like
was like a fucking
woof.
canine ass bark, bro.
See, that was just my ploy to have you guys bark on the pod.
Yeah. Hey, we're doing it for you.
For the dogs.
I was still frozen to the carpet, and it wasn't until Jeb gave a second menacing bark that I heard the figure outside the window started to walk away in the direction of my yard. Once that first footstep hit the ground, I instantly thought of the welfare of my best mate, and finally my head connected with my extremities and my entire body kicked into overdrive over her dog. I know people who love their dogs, and I get pet lovers, but if this is happening,
I have family members that I would let die outside before I confront this fucking figure.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I would be tripping people. Yeah. I left from the ground and slid across the laminated floor to the back door where Jeb was standing, staring into the backyard. I ducked to keep low and quietly unlocked and slid the door for the dog. Usually doing so would notify Jeb that he was allowed inside, but when the door opened up, he didn't move an inch and was completely fixated on the pitch black backyard. Everything told me not to go outside, but there was no chance I was letting anything happen to my dog, and I moved out onto the alfresco, moved behind Jab,
This is what happens when you hit your kids enough.
put my hand under his collar, and attempted to back him towards the house. Jeb is a pure Labrador and weighs like a sack of sand, so when he doesn't want to move, it takes a sheer force to pull him in the direction you want him to go. And right now, Jeb wasn't going anywhere. I yanked at his scruff, and as I did, he emitted a bark like I had never heard before. A deep, billowing, fuck you right off sound that elevated my nerves to an all-time high. We both just stood there, waiting for some form of reply, and I couldn't remember how long. We both just froze there. But eventually I heard footsteps around the side of the house begin to walk away, but not a simple walk, almost like whoever was doing it was slowly dancing in a circle, the footsteps keeping to a beat as they drifted away from the house to the distance. Once I couldn't hear anything, Jab licked his lips, gave me a look, and wandered back inside. I followed, locked the door behind me, and spent the night reverting to my childlike self, hiding under the bed covers with my dog. I didn't sleep a wink.
You stayed there?
She stayed the night.
Finish the story.
That was the last time I ever heard the violin player. The following morning, when the sun finally came up, I called into the work sick and called the police. They scoured the lot next to mine and found footprints in the dirt. However, there were so many, it was impossible to tell who was there and whose it was. The only description I could give to the officer was his height. He could have had to be over 6 feet to stare over a fence at me, but they explained that he could have been standing on something or on his toes. They also told me that they've never received a report anyone playing a violin in the area or anyone seen.
What kind of fucking what report was that? The violin per capita report?
I mean, they just never heard anything, like no one ever complained.
There was no one to complain.
Someone did the research paper on this, okay?
Anyone been in the fenced off the hill either.
Every kid that takes a violin lesson, do you have to register?
Yeah, right.
I essentially looked like an insane person, but the officers were very nice about the whole thing and offered a patrol area for the next few nights, which helped put my mind at ease. Nothing else happened since then. Over the next year or two, people finally started moving in, and I tell them the story about the figure I saw, some of which still use to keep their children in line, which I find funny. One guy nicknamed the council lot the Violin Hill, and the name has stuck around our street since then. I even spent a period of time scouring the depths of the internet for that violin tune I kept hearing but could never find it. There were a few classical pieces that seemed reminiscent, but I have since thought that whatever tune was played must have been self-composed, which creeps me out even more. I'm still in the house. I still tell people the story, and I haven't changed my routine one bit, which has really helped me to block out the fear of the experience. I game with my blinds closed now.
I mean, she's an e-girl.
That's all I have.
All right.
Dumb bitches, bro. I swear to God, I can't. I just cannot.
Definitely not as creepy as Dr. Ramsey.
No. Dr. Ramsey pissed me off.
But
bro.
Yeah.
This girl pissed me off with her stupid ass decisions.
Listen, we found the gaping hole, right? The newspaper. This is fake. I still believe that.
I think it could be real, but I think she has some psychological issues that probably got resolved when she got scared to death.
Yeah.
And that somehow fixed it. I don't know.
I know
Underlying issues or something.
I know her psychological issue's still there. She's still doing the same shit.
This is a metaphor, man. That was her getting rid of her demons.
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah.
My loneliness.
What kind of demons play music for you, though?
The kind ones.
They say that the devil. I was about to say something from Futurama, but the devil in Futurama is like an excellent fiddle player, or fiddler, like an excellent fiddler to the point where he had like the world's like I don't know fastest hands with the fiddle. I don't know, like so.
I wonder what else he does with those fingers.
Again, furthering the thing where I'm saying that this is fake.
Could be. I mean, yeah, that was one of the stories.
I don't know, man. I didn't like this story. I know I said we're gonna talk about Tetris, but I think we have time to talk about. I think we have time to talk about one more Reddit story, and we could talk about Tetris later.
We need a redemption arc here.
Yeah, this was the dumb bitch just pissed me off, man.
Okay. So, I this one is funny, and it's funny because it's a story about a couple, and we could go either way. They posted the wife's version, and then they posted the husband's version.
Oh shit!
As well. So, most of these things are very similar on both versions. A little few details here and there that are different. So which version do you guys want to start with?
The wife.
My personal favorite is the husband, by the way.
Oh, dude, you can't say that. Now I want to hear the husband's version first.
All right, let's start with the husband's version. So, last night, my wife's boss from her brand new job invited us over dinner. And on the drive over, my wife reiterated many times to me just how important it was for me to make a good impression. I scoffed and arrogantly informed my silly wife that I'm always ready to make good impressions. My wife's boss is a single lady in her 50s, so it was just the three of us. We chit-chatted over drinks and salads and seemed really to be hitting off. She laughed at my well-timed, perfectly appropriate jokes, and my wife seemed pleased. Soon she brought in the main course, a nice, big, juicy steak for each of us. As I began to cut into my steak, I was discouraged to discover how undercooked the steak was. Now, I've had my fair share of rare steak. I prefer medium, but I can handle rare. This was several minutes on a hot grill short of rare. I probably could have resurrected the cow had I tried. Instead, I sat there fidgeting with my knife and fork, worrying about how I was going to get away with not eating this steak. Claim veganish? No, I had already feigned great enthusiasm upon seeing the steak. What do you guys think happened next?
I mean,
I'm guessing
did he just eat it?
he told her, and there's two ways. Like, he told her, and then she got offended, and that turned into a thing.
Yeah.
And then the other way is like he ate it, got stomach problems, and like probably shat himself.
It's really hard. So the whole thing is, it's really hard to get sick from steak if you cooked it at all. Because the whole thing is that without getting to like super science, but basically the whole fear is that you are gonna get E. coli or something, right? And the thing is, E. coli lives on the surface, and so it's not with like actual fillets and stuff. It doesn't penetrate into the skin or the further into the meat. So if you grill it, you're good.
So I'm just gonna say wrong to both of you, and I'm gonna continue.
All right.
Condescending as fuck.
Yeah.
Fuck, man.
Kind of like that guy when he's like scoffs at his wife and he's like, silly babe.
Yeah.
Just then, our hostess excused herself to the kitchen to take care of some dessert preparations. As I looked across the fancy dining room table at an open window on the third-story apartment, a cartoon light bulb appeared over my head. I knew I had to be decisive, realizing that she could return at any moment. I committed. I grabbed the steak in my hand, gently shook off the juice, and executed a perfect throw right through the center of the open window.
Yo, why he frisbeed that steak?
Here's the big time FU. The window wasn't open.
Just a very clean window.
It was the cleanest freaking window you have ever seen in your life. That is until my mostly raw slab of steak slammed against it and slowly slid down, leaving a trail of bloody juice in its wake.
I'm just imagining his wife across the table like, what the fuck are you doing?
What the fuck did that?
I would fake so many illnesses in that moment. Yeah. It's like, sorry, I have Tourette's.
It's like, since when? It's like right now.
My wife, whose steak was nice medium rare and was unaware of my predicament, turned, jaw dropped, and stared at me like I was an alien from another planet. This look then slowly morphed into more of a there is no place on this planet you can ever hide from me expression of demonic anger. I just didn't know what to say. It felt like a minute of silence, but it was probably 3-4 seconds. Finally, the best I could manage was, I am so sorry. I'm such a klutz.
Sorry, just like, sorry, I'm pretty...
Oops, I slipped.
My wife's boss heard the thud on the steak window, steak on the window impact, and came quickly. She took in the scene and the steak sitting on the window still, the bloody trail, my empty plate, and then gave me an inquisitive, puzzled look. I basically was in a moment of silence again, and then I said, I don't know, I was just cutting it, and it slipped.
He did say it slipped.
Just ask my wife. I really am a klutz. Right, honey? No help coming from that direction. I will clean this up. I can't believe this. I'm so sorry, etc., etc. Both women continued to stare at me like I had escaped from a loony bin. As I smeared the blood off the window with my cloth napkin, dusted off the steak, and continued to mutter incoherent explanation. I knew no one was buying the story. I knew what I had to do. I sheepishly returned to my seat and proceeded to eat every bite of that disgusting, cold, chewy, bloody, raw steak.
That'll show them.
They made him eat the steak?
They didn't say anything to him, bro.
I thought he was going to double down, just like, hey, so it's on the floor now.
Yeah.
I'm not eating this.
I remained pretty quiet for the rest of the evening. My wife's only 2 words to me since that incident are, I'm fine. TL update, just got to the first post, I'm fine communication from my wife where I text who's at work. Good news, boss's name, and I had a good laugh over how much of a fucking idiot you are. I hope you know we will never have you live this down. Love you, moron.
Oh.
That was a text from the wife.
Cute.
Yeah.
Cute. The steak, dude, fucking frisbee the steak. He's like, let's go. It's on target.
I got this.
Look at the world's cleanest window.
I love the real, like, you know, like the high he was on where he's like, I got it. I knew exactly what I'm going to do. I came up with a plan. And then that thud just rocked his world.
I wonder if he restored it to the world's cleanest window status.
Yeah.
Because he was like smearing all that shit all
What do you use for your windows? Like Clorox?
Yeah, like
Windex?
Imagine if you tried to segue into that. It's like, hey, that's a really clean window.
The top comment was, let's say this window was open and the steak is gone. She returns a minute later. What do you just tell her that you just devoured
destroyed this,
in a minute?
So I thought that's where the story was gonna go, where it's like he makes it and then he's like,
Yum.
yo, very good, very good.
No, my thought was he throws it out the window.
It lands on her car.
No, and it just like, and like this lady's in the kitchen making dessert, and she just sees a steak flying down from the kitchen window.
Yeah. She's like, wait, the fuck was that?
Oh, and I get it, and that's when they start hearing violins.
Oh,
Do you guys want to hear the wife's version of this?
Sure.
It's mostly the same, but just a little different.
I hope the story's the same. That'd be confusing as fuck. And she's like, oh yeah, and then I threw the window. What? The steak out the window. What?
So, this is the wife's version. I had just gotten a brand new job that I was really excited about. So I was delighted that my boss, who I was trying to establish a rapport with, invited me and my husband over to her home for dinner. Well, most delighted. My husband is, well, he's the sweetest, but he has a history of doing really dumb shit. Because of this, I was worried about him coming along. By the time the day of the dinner arrived, I had become more anxious. So so I actually floated the idea to my boss that I wasn't sure if he would be able to make it. She was clearly taken aback and responded, "Oh no, I really hope he can. I had dinner for 3 all ready to go." Upon seeing her dismay, I assured her that my husband would be there.
I'm so like, he's doing know when you do some bullshit.
Well, we made it over to her apartment on time, and things actually started out really, really well. It was actually just the 3 of us, which surprised me somewhat, but made me a little less concerned about my husband, as crowds really tend to bring out his unpredictability. I had just started.
Well, they do say three's a crowd.
I had just started to finally relax and was a couple of bites into a deliciously cooked steak when things took a horrible, horrible turn. My boss had stepped into the kitchen to check on dessert, and when I noticed something odd out of the corner of my eyes, it was one of those things that you know something strange is happening in your peripheral, but you're not sure what. You have to look over and focus your gaze to really comprehend it. I look over at my husband and seeing him holding his steak in his hand, hovering it an inch or two over the plate. Before I had a chance to fully comprehend what I was seeing and verbalize something that might have saved us all from the coming horror, he threw his steak, baseball style, across the room, straight into the dining room window. It hit.
All right, so he didn't frisbee it. Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
It hit the window, making a loud noise, and slowly slid down. Now, my husband does dumb shit. I already told you that. But he's not a crazy person. Usually when he does dumb shit, I understand what he's thinking. There's usually some semblance of rhyme or reason to the dumb shit. In this case, I was just dumbfounded. I couldn't believe my eyes. I couldn't wrap my head around what was going on. I stared at him with what must have been the most confused look and watched as he stared back at me, an expression of utter horror painted across his face. I couldn't make any sense of what was happening, but I also didn't have time to try. I heard the footsteps of my boss coming to see what the sound was, sorry. It suddenly sunk in that it didn't matter why he did it, what he did. He did it, and we were all about to face a very awkward situation. I could feel the anger flush through my face. For a brief moment, I contemplated trying to help my husband get out of this. But no, this was his dumb shit bed, and he could lie in it. Not like there was any possible recovery anyways. My boss walks in and sees the steak lying on the windowsill. There's the fucking longest, most awkward pause where we could have just sat frozen. My boss and I are staring at my husband, forcing the ball in his court as a cringe just hangs in the air like an ocean fog. He finally manages to mutter some incoherent garbage about being a klutz and even tries to get me to back him up. I leave his ass out to dry in deafening silence. He makes a poor attempt at cleaning the window and retrieves the steak. Mercifully, my boss asked me a question about work, and we both dive eagerly into the conversation. We all resume the rest of the evening pretending that he isn't there. A sort of unspoken agreement by all that this is the only way we can move forward. As soon as we got into the car, my husband turned into a nervous chatterbox trying to explain himself. Turns out the dumbass didn't like the way his steak was cooked, rare. And get this, he thought the window was open. My husband, ladies and gentlemen, tried to chuck his steak out of a 3-story building window. He thought it was the most reasonable solution to be served an undercooked steak. A year or so later, my boss hosted a Christmas party for the company at her newly well-built home. My best friend Jenny was my +1. That's it.
Yep.
That was okay.
The pre-work was good on that one, where she was just like, "Hey, my husband's kind of known for doing some weird
Dumb shit. Yeah.
Oh man.
That was.
People were asking if her husband was on the spectrum and shit, and she's like, "No.
He's just an idiot.
He's just an idiot. He does dumb shit."
In his mind, he had the solution, and honestly, if that window was open, it was good,
It was a solution,
right?
I wouldn't say it was good, but it was a solution.
I would have taken like 3/4 of that steak and threw it out just so there's something on my plate still, and I'm like,
Yummy.
I noticed that
Like a 2-year-old just.
and notice we're still throwing it out the window though, versus being like, "Hey, so like, I personally I like my steak cooked a little more, if you don't mind."
I would have.
Let me go back. Let me get on the stove.
That's too embarrassing.
Yeah, that is like
That's
for the host, for
disrespectful.
everyone. This is disrespectful. That my cooking is not good enough for you. But I personally would have used. See, I'm also a dumbass, and I would have used my wife's big purse and just dropped that steak in.
Oh,
Like just put some paper napkins around it.
You're gonna ruin
drop
that bag. You're gonna ruin the
I
bag.
don't care,
Or
but
just
I wouldn't
wrap-
have thrown shit like that.
Wrap it, cut it in half or whatever, take it to the toilet,
Yeah,
flush it.
yeah. 100 things you could do. To put it in the trash. Who's gonna check the trash?
People check trash.
Who checks? That's so fucking weird.
No, you can. I mean, depending on how bad this thing really was for him in his mind, he's like, "Hey, like,
Okay,
I'm gonna get
also-
sick." Just
Also, like a small bathroom trash can versus like an 8-ounce or 10-ounce steak. Like you're gonna notice like steak in there.
Oh, you got some bathroom garbage? No, I wasn't saying
No, I was
just
gonna take it
like
downstairs.
eventually go to the
Yeah.
kitchen, like after she's out, like after she's back. If she goes to the bathroom, just
Oh,
like,
I would have flushed it.
I don't know if it would have flushed. Get cut up in small pieces. There's
Yeah,
a lot of work
that's
to
a
it.
lot of
There's a lot of
work,
work to
yeah.
it. But again, it can happen.
Yeah. Throwing it off, I don't like it because what if there's like a garage, like a parking garage right underneath? You're tossing it on someone's car. She sees this the next day, or it starts to make like beeping or making a sound, and now like everyone's looking outside, and you just see a steak on the fucking dashboard of someone's car.
I don't think he's not Tom Brady. I don't think his steak throw is gonna cause car alarms.
No, it's the gravity. It's a 3-story building. It's forceful, man. It's a 10-ounce of fucking steak.
Big,
I don't
big,
Yeah.
half pound, man.
Yeah. So that's basically the 2 Reddit stories that I had.
Nice.
Kind of like a 2.5 because we got 2 different perspectives of the wife and the husband. Yeah, one was super creepy. I didn't like the violin one. Like I was reading it alone at like 3:00 at night, and I was like, I don't know if this is the best time to read this.
Yeah. I personally would have just been like, okay, like maybe this is for the morning.
Yeah.
Maybe just do it live on the pod.
Yeah. And then when I read this, the steak throwing one, I just could not stop laughing of how dumb this was.
I still love the fact that we got both sides of it, and you understand. You hear her opinions going in as like there have been other incidents.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god.
He becomes unpredictable around crowds.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But, I mean, yeah. Maybe we could save the Tetris story for next time.
Yeah, no, it's super interesting. And I know like you guys watched the Tetris movie, but like the actual story is very different because the creator talks about how the movie was like very dramatized. So yeah, we'll get into that later, but good episode, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. We talked about the Tesla horrors. We talked a little bit about like
The list.
the Epstein Island list and 2 Reddit stories. This one's a
Yeah, I like that format. Creepo, and then like a funny one to kind of like just to get us through the night.
The Epstein list.
Well,
Creepo still.
I think all creepos, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, I think I learned a little bit about cigarettes today. I appreciate you for that.
Yeah. Who said this podcast is not educational?
Yeah.
You are king, and don't anyone tell you otherwise.
All right, guys. Talk to you guys later.
All right. Peace out.
Time to hit the hay.